walk through the door. We can be more. We can be more. We can be more. We can be so much better than before. Give me that smile when you walk through the door. We can be more. We can be. Are you happy?
Welcome to today's video. Today I'll show you guys how to build responsive CSS layouts using the CSS grid and media queries. If you have ever worked in web development, I'm sure you have noticed it aligns data under each other, and it takes a lot to manipulate properties like width and padding to align things alongside each other. According to W3, the CSS grid is a layout module that offers a grid-based layout system with rows and columns, making it easier to design web pages without having to use floats and positioning. So as some of y'all may know, I'm a fan of VSCode, so today I'll be using an extension called Live Server to refresh the page anytime there's a change in the code. It's pretty cool, like at least to me. So we'll start with some boilerplate HTML stuff.
So doc type, HTML, and HTML, and head, then body.
Okay, so we need to use something called a meta viewport. Okay, so this is important for resizing the page so that all the content always fits according to the viewport. So what I would call a viewport is a viewport refers to the screen that is currently viewing the page.
So we'll go like title, and for now we'll just name this web page. And here we can start. We can make our first responsive site by creating 2 paragraphs. So first we need.
Okay, so because I really wanted to skip the boring parts where I get this text and put it up, I just went to Lorem Ipsum generator and generated this filler text. This is text most web developers use when they don't know what words the client might want there, but because you know there's supposed to be words there so that the website looks cool, because like visually, right, you kind of understand what paragraphs are supposed to be. So I just skipped that whole part and just went straight to here. We're going to mention 2 important things. So this div class grid will act as our grid container. These 2 divs will be our grid items in our grid container. So I already started the CSS. I said box size and border box. This will kind of make sure that all the content will kind of have its own padding and its own margins, and it won't inherit it from parent. And the body is set to 0 margin and 0 padding. So now we can start. Grid, because grid is a grid is a class, and we'll just say display grid. So now we can see here in our web tools, we'll just have to kind of zoom in here. In our web tools, we can kind of now see our grid. This is our grid, this whole thing, and these 2, you can kind of see it kind of has like a line divided to kind of separate our grid items. This is the power of using CSS grid. So now to have the content set up side by side, we have to use a property called grid template columns and just say auto, and now everything is set. If we set it to like specific pixels, we can also set this to specific pixels if we wanted to. So now our grid items are now separated. This kind of helps us understand where our item starts and ends. Now if I remove this, you might see that we might need space here. So that's why we have a property called grid gap. So grid gap 20 pixels, and this will kind of separate our content for us. And this is different from margin because this is an inherent property of our grid. So it means even if we added like a third paragraph to this, it will have the same amount of distance. And because we said auto, it means that it sets the paragraph to automatically fit according to the pixels or the amount of grid items there already. Right. Now you might see that, okay, we might not be exactly done with this because we still have the problem of the website looking like this on smaller screens, which we call our viewports. So to fix this, we use media queries. For those who are used to using Prolog, you are used to the idea of rules. This is kind of the same thing. This is called a CSS rule. So this is a media rule. So add media only screen. Then we say and max width, and I really think phones be at like 700 pixels these days when you look at the size of like the iPhone XR. I think like phones back in the day were more like 450 pixels, but today they're kind of like 700 pixels. So this kind of tells the screen, or the viewport rather, that when the screen is around this size, please make the web page look like so and so. So here I could just say body and be like background color and say aqua, right? So at 700 pixels it changes to aqua. When we go back to normal, it's white on computers. On smaller screens, it's aqua. If for whatever reason you wanted your site to be like this on smaller screens, you can do it. This kind of gives us more options when editing sites, because back in the day, you'd have to make two different versions of your website. A .m version, a mobile version that people will look at when they go on their mobile phone. That's why back in the day, people would go on m.facebook or mobile, because that site was more oriented towards mobile Facebook. It was more oriented for your phone. Then they would go on regular Facebook on their computers. You'd have to make two different sites for the same purpose. Now with media queries, you can make one site with the same CSS file with different rules for screen sizes. So if we wanted this to go back to normal up and down, because things on mobile phones are easier when you're scrolling, not scrolling up and down, not scrolling left and right. That's just more convenient for users, right? We try to build things more convenient for users. So to accomplish that here, we'll call our grid item back again, right? And then we'll say display grid. Okay? Sorry. Then we'll go grid template columns auto. This will mean that when we're dealing with screen sizes of like 700 pixels, we go back to scrolling up and down, because that's more convenient for mobile phones. Then when we're on PC, things could be side by side because that's more convenient on PC. It's a bigger screen, so you can put more stuff on it. And you can put more stuff on it, you don't need to only put it up and down, you can put it left and right or whatever you need to do. And the grid gap rule is kind of still true even in the case of mobile. So this is how we would build responsive sites using media queries and grids. I made my grid item a flex for a reason. Sorry, I'm thinking in the future, right? I looked at the script in the head tab, sorry. I made this grid item for a reason. So let's say we want using auto and we set our paragraph to like a specific thing. Let's say 200 pixels, right? Then we could just say something like margin, then you know what, 200 pixels might be too small. Let's try 400. Yeah, this might be better. So here we could say margin if we want things to be aligned more in a certain way. It could be like 20 pixels if we wanted there to be space. Now I suspect it's overflowing, so maybe this needs to be 300 to be normal. For those wondering, I use Mozilla Firefox and VSCode to do all the web editing today. I don't really use Atom. I've never used it before. I mean, I have. I just didn't like it. I haven't used it that much to understand its benefits. But you could basically do this on anything you want to do it on. It will probably work. You don't need any special packages like npm. All you need is a web browser and a text editor, and you can be able to do this web stuff too. But basically that's it for today. So please subscribe, like, comment. You could ask your questions, ask for more content. Just ask for whatever you want, or if you just want to say hi in the comments, hey. If you had no idea what we're talking about this entire video, just want to say hi in the comments, hey, go ahead and just go say hi. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good week. I'll check you guys out later.